Yes, world of YouTube. This little pamphlet I came across. I don't remember where I got it. I think I might have got it in maybe in a church. Somewhere. It must have been a church. It could have been a church. But this is one of the most interesting cases of resurrection. And the person who wrote this, I believe, was the author. Don't. It's John W. Reynolds. Speaking of a man, of George Lennox. This is a very bizarre story. Supposedly it's true. And why this man faced these dark entities of hell. 48 hours in hell. Supposedly this guy died. Coal mining accident, mind you. As you can see, the date is the winter of 1887. Basically 1 year, 1888. Worked in the coal mines. He was laboring. And this guy was nothing more than a common horse thief back in the 1800s. But, I mean, back then, stealing horses was a big thing, I guess. So, he got time in jail and ended up in the coal mines. But, what happened in this story later on is just... Supposedly this guy literally met demons or a demon of hell. Now he doesn't claim it was the devil himself, but a demon that he met. It could have been the devil the way he speaks of him. Hairy, furry creature like man, sharp teeth, an inch long, all kinds of crazy shit. But what really caught my eye in this story is how he talks of the river. Now, if anybody knows the mythological river in hell is Styx, S-T-Y-X. Yes, that is also a band, and that's where they literally got their name from. That's why Tommy Shaw, a little history and classic rock, kind of butted heads with the other singer of Styx, because he wanted the band to be more of the name of the band rather than come out with all these love songs like Lady and all the good love ballads that they did make. I mean, don't get me wrong, very talented band, the only band in musical history that made 3 platinum albums in a row. But yeah, Tommy Shaw just didn't like how the band was going with more of the poppy sound of... He wanted, of course, more of the renegade type music. And, but anyway, Styx, the mythological river of hell. But, like I said, what really caught my eye in this story, this guy dies, goes on his little journey, and not only does he mention the Styx River, he also mentions another river. Which brings me to the fact, now that I am doing a little reading on a Bible I got, and it is a reason to believe that it is one of the, in the Old Testament form, and what I've read so far is insane. So, I mean insane, literally. This goes on to say that He was working in a coal mine, Mr. George Lennox. Of course, he went to one of the workers, or the, like you would call him today, the CO, the correctional officer. Told him they didn't feel safe working in a room. Started getting these feelings. The guy went in there, inspected, and said, this room is fine, but sure as shit. As soon as he went back in and did the work, it collapsed on him. The roof did. That was the first part. I mean, it goes into detail of saying that the physician, the doctor, physician, they called him back then, whatever, came in, pretty much presumed him dead. So they had another couple inmates. When you die at this point, at this time of era, they literally already, they get you all suited up, get a coffin made. You're already being buried. So, it goes on to say here that they get two inmates to carry his body to the coffin and doing an autopsy or whatever, and they're going to put him in it, I guess. One of them was a clumsy inmate, mind you, dropped the corpse, it says here, on the head of the dead man, struck the floor, and to the utter surprise, he jumped up, pretty much just woke up. So, like I say in a lot of my videos, back in the day, and yeah, you can say about around the time of the 1800s was the time that they probably started thinking that we should figure out a way to find out if this person's really dead. So, this guy could have been pretty much saying a knocked out coma. Be safe to say. Something that keeps you living, but yet you seem dead. He could have been in a low, deep breathing mode. And like back in the day when they did start figuring out a way, which was the mirror, to put under your nostrils to see if you're still breathing. Anybody that died back then, a lot of them people buried alive. This guy in his case got lucky. So I mean, he could have been in the mode of sleep time thing, knocked out cold, where he, of course he was living, but they couldn't tell, and as soon as they dropped him on his head, I mean, boom, that must have woke him right the hell up. Ah, what the fuck, screaming. Ah. But it goes on to say and everything, right? This guy that writes this, and who got the tale told to him, which he must have been a physician or something too. It makes it sound like in the story, but he wanted to talk to this man about what had happened when he died, because somewhere down the line he heard someone talking about him. The guy did. Fully reformed, mind you. This was an eye-opener for this guy, which I wouldn't, of course, get to the end of the story. But goes on to tell this guy that writes this that he woke up. How does it go? I'm gonna say cranky everything my wife. Like an hour, and all of a sudden it grew very dark. It grew very dark, he says. It goes on to say that, after he got cranky, he returned to his work. Says here he'd been digging away for some like an hour when all of a sudden it grew very dark. Yeah, that's when he just got done talking to the CO, we'll call him, correctional officer. And this must have just happened, literally drop, rock, bang, right off his head. And it grew very dark. Then it seemed as if a great iron door swung open and passed through it, he claims. This is where he starts talking about being in hell. He said, come to my mind that I was dead and another world. Could see no one nor hear sound of any kind from some cause of unknown to myself. I started to move away from the doorway and traveled some distance when I came to the banks of a broad river, which, mind you, I'm hoping to find maybe this story in the Old Testament of the Bible I'm reading, or even the river of the Styx. I'm sure is in the Old Testament, but supposedly he came to this river. It was not dark, neither was it light. There was about much light on a bright starlit night, and had remained on the banks of this very river very long until he could hear a sound of oars in the water. Soon a person in a boat rowed up here, was standing. He goes on saying that the thing didn't say a damn word. Oh, he pointed, get in the boat. They go across the river, and as soon as he got out of the boat, the boatman vanished out of sight. Thus left alone, he knew not what to do, looking for before he saw the roads which led through the dark valley. One of these was broad road, and it seemed to be well traveled. The other was a narrow path and led off to the other direction. I instinctively followed the well beaten road. I had not gone far when it seemed to grow darker, even as anon, however, a light would flash upon from a distance in the manner I was lit up on my journey. Presently, I was met by a being utterly impossible for me to describe. I only can give you a faint idea of his dreadful appearance. He resembled a man somewhat, but much larger, claiming it was like 10 feet tall. He had wings on his back, he was as black as the coal I had been digging, and perfectly nude condition. He had a spear in his hand, the handle of which must have been fully 15 feet high. His eyes shone like balls of fire. His teeth, white as pearl, seemed fully an inch long. His nose, if you could call it a nose, was very large, broad, and flat. His hair was very coarse, heavy, and long. It hung down upon his massive shoulders. His voice sounded more like the growls of a lion in a menagerie than anything I can call. It was during one of the flashes of light that I first saw him. I trembled like an aspen leaf at the sight. He had his spear raised as if to send it flying through me. I suddenly stopped. That terrible voice I seen too. In a sec. Just gonna read what he says of description of this. Here yet he bade me follow him, that he had been sent to guide me on my journey. I followed. What else could I do? After he had gone some distance, a large mountain appeared to raise up before us. The part facing us seemed this word I cannot really say, perpendicular, just as if a mountain had been cut in two and one part had been taken away. On this perpendicular, I could distinctly see the words, "This is hell." My guide approached this perpendicular wall. I can't say that, sorry, because it's one word I do not use every day. With his spear handle gave 3 loud raps. A large, massive door swung back. We passed in. I was then conducted on through what appeared to be a passage through this mountain. For some time we traveled in Egyptian darkness. I could hear the heavy footfalls of my guide, and thus could follow him all the way. I could hear deep groans of someone dying further on. These groans increased, and I could distinctly hear the cry, "Water, water, water." coming now to another gateway and passing through. I could hear it seemed a million voices in the distance, and cry was for water. Presently, another large door opened at the knock of my guide, and I found that we had passed through the mountain, and now a broad plain lay before me. At this place, my guide left me to direct another lost spirits to some destination. I remained in this open plain for a time when a being somewhat similar to the first one came to me, but instead of the spear, he had a huge sword. He came to me to tell me of my future doom. He spoke within a voice that struck horror to my soul. Thou art in hell, he said, for thee all hope is fled, as thou pass through the mountain. On thy way hither thou didst hear the groans and shrieks of the lost as they call for water to cool their parched tongues. Along the passage there is a door that opens into a lake of fire. This is soon to be thy doom, before thou art conducted to this place of torment, nevermore to emerge. For these is no hope for those who enter there. Thou shalt be permitted to remain in this open plain, where it is granted to all the lost to behold what they might have enjoyed instead of what they must suffer. So, being in this plane, this guy happens to see his past mother. What else was it? A dull longer took for... What was it? Yeah, his mother. Beautiful city he saw, which he read in the Bible. So all this stuff, supposedly... stuff that was seen in the Bible, read in the Bible by this guy, covered with beautiful flowers. You know, I too beheld the river of life and the sea of glass. Vast multitudes of angels would pass in and out through the gates of the city, singing all such beautiful songs. But then again, remember the word river. Once again, first he says a lake. Then we get into another river. And among the number, I saw my dear old mother, who died a few years ago of a broken heart because of my wickedness, he says. She looked toward me and seemed to appear to be great way up. Appeared to seem to... Oh, wait a minute. I screwed up here. Appeared to be a great weight upon me that held me down. God damn it, I got that screwed up. Looked toward me and seemed to... beckon me to her. So, sorry I missed that. The mother was trying to get him, probably like to wave her hand like this and say, come to me, But what he says, I could not move. There appeared to be a great weight upon me that held me down. Not a gentle breeze waft the fragrance of those lovely flowers toward me, and I could now more plainly than ever hear the sweet melody of angels' voices. And I said, that could be one of them, or I could be one of them. As soon as he was drinking from his cup that he was given, it suddenly dashed from his lips, crossed from, of course now he must have met the devil, because it says another dark person came forward, so ripping it out of his hand, giving him all this, and he was retracting his steps. He entered a dark passageway, when he came to the door and beheld the lake of fire. Just before I could see, could go on saying, could reach that the literal lake of fire and brimstone. Huge billows of fire would roll over each other. So it was like big waves of that he saw. And it was, goes on to say that the waves, human beings rise, but to soon to be carried down again. Oh, yeah, bodies of people and souls were being splashed around in these waves of fire. Sorry, I got the pug up here interrupting me. Little jerk. But that's what he could smell, the brimstone. You could watch the people in the sea of this lake getting wrestled around in the waves of the flames. And when born on the crest of the awful billows for a time, their courage against just God would be appalling, and their pitiful cries for water would be heart-rending. This vast region of fire echoed and re-echoed with the wails of these lost spirits. Presently I turned my eyes to the door through which I had few moments before entered, and I read these awful words: "This is thy doom. Eternity never ends." Shortly I began to feel the earth give away under my feet, and I found myself sinking down into the lake of fire. An indescribable thirst for water now seized upon me, and calling for water, my eyes opened in the hospital prison. So he was just about getting ready to be thrown into the lake. The Styx, meaning the river, is what he walked through, being the passageway, showing him greatness of what once he lost. And but to combine the river that he's seen to cross over to get to his mother and the beauties of the flower and everything, that is what really caught my eye in the story. I mean, he talks to the lake, he talks to the river when he first gets there, and then he's talking about this river to get across, which leads me, of course, to believe, what really is the river use. In my eyes, I believe God is the devil. Because according to the First Testament, I'll tell you something right now, that in the way this story pronounces itself, it's just insane that God will let stuff like this happen, of people like this, a common horse thief, or anybody else that commits any sin. If God is so good and great, why does he even make sin? Why did he even... But then again, a priest says God did not make evil. Well, who the hell made it? Because in the First Testament that I'm reading right now, he burned the city down because of the city's, like this man said, his wickedness. All the city's now wicked. I'm burning it down. Sodom. He told Noah to build an ark. Because I'm drowning everybody here. You build an ark, take your ark, and you get your family and the animals. And that's what the story is to me now. And that's what it says in the First Testament. I'm drowning the wickedness of this town. So, why didn't he drown this out? Alright? Build an ark, I'm drowning out hell. But he burns a city down with Sodom. To me, if he can create fire, he created hell. He created evil. Because he's the one who made the people in the First Testament, if you think about it now. Come on now. All these wicked people must die. How do you know if he didn't make hell right now? Why do you know he didn't make hell? For the wicked people. But he claims, no, that's the devil's job. He made it. He did that. Not me. So what is the real? I'm very confused when stuff like this is written. I'm keeping this very close about this guy. And he goes on to say, after all that, he wakes up in the hospital. Later on, he talks to this man and he says that he has found God. He has left his evil ways, which was a petty horse thief anyways. But, of course, back then, stealing horses, boy, that was a big thing. Because, yeah, that was your work. That was your, your transportation. Whatever you needed it for, the horse was there to help. But yet, stuff like this makes me wonder. Just like the Last Supper with the bad luck number 13. But yet there's 13 people sitting at the table with Christ. I don't get that. That is very, and to me, the original picture of that, very demonically. So my new quest also for now is I gotta start getting back into reading the Bible. Like I said, lots of time lost, lots of things going on in my life that's made me, like I said in one video, I've literally, like, my mind's went fucking blank. But I'm starting to roll back into things because, yeah, the things that have been going on in my mind, yeah. But yet I kept this in my truck. And I forgot I had it. I pulled it out and I read it again. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. So, but this is 48 Hours in Hell if you have one, or if you find one. Pick it up, read it again. See what you get out of it. Because all I get out of it is demonicness. Is right. All I get out of it is there's two rivers. One that you can pass over to the pearly gates, and one that goes to hell. Which I have far believed that I can't say there's two rivers, there's one. In that river right in this book, and this man claims two rivers. George Lennox. He says two rivers. So what's really going on there? Something for people to think about. There's not two rivers. There's one. Whether it be through hell or heaven. All I know is I started reading the Old Testament. And things like this, puzzling things, is insane. And has me to believe that that priest that once said in 2002 that God did not create the devil. Well, who did? He created everything else, and he destroyed everything he made. So who's the devil? Or if there ain't one, who's God? Which one is which? I see the riddle me this, riddle me that. That's right, the riddler. The riddle is, who is really who? That's the question. And stories like this and me coming out, like I said, I got the Bible, a video up of that. I'm going to start reading it back up. I had left off with the Sodom part where he declared Sodom, burn a whole town down with his wickedness. And then, oh no, I think that was, I can't remember if that was the first one or the Ark, Noah. But both people are under contract, mind you. And they were both told by Christ to do what they were doing. And I got to go over that anyways. I didn't get that far yet. But I did talk about Sodom, which happened here in Fitchburg. But all the wicked things, something to think about. Till the next video, YouTube Nation. Be safe, take care, and if you're gonna pray to God, make sure you know who you're praying to. Out.